We are only 4 chapters away from the final chapter for The Beginning After the End. Today, we are digging into chapter 525 titled The Whims of Fate, and wow, Arthur and his team are literally reshaping the world to prevent a cosmic level disaster. Fate itself tells him no, people who've died come back as spirits, floating continents pop up in the sky, and Arthur, he's breaking himself apart to hold everything together. We'll unpack all of this, Arthur's standoff with fate, the insanity of King's Gambit, the Everburn Fountain Gamble, and the emotional gut punch of the Spirit's intervention. It's a long ride, but stick around. We start exactly where we left off. Arthur stands before fate, begging for help to stop the etheric flood that's about to rip the world apart, and fate, in its infinite cosmic wisdom, hits him with a hard no. Not even an I'll think about it, just no. Arthur scrambles for arguments, but quickly realizes this is pointless. Fate isn't a being with feelings, honor, or any sense of maybe let me just help this guy out. It's just a force. Arthur feels the crushing weight of it. He expected fate to hold up its end of the bargain. Sylvie, Regis, Tessia, and Gi are all mentally linked with him and sends the rolling panic through him. Sylvie snaps him out of it because the relic tombs are collapsing into reality. Meanwhile, Iphiatus, the divine Asura continent, is breaking through the sky. The world is literally tearing apart above and below. Arthur almost loses focus. 2 human ascenders are falling to their death in the chaos, but he catches them with the liquid ether just in time. It's a wake-up call to no more wasting time on Fate's cold shoulder. He needs a plan and he needs it fast. Then Arthur notices something. The etheric pressure isn't just constantly rising anymore, it's hitting in waves. Gi points this out through their shared mental link. That's his opening. If they time their efforts, pushing back during the peaks, they might hold the realms apart long enough to finish the job. Arthur decides to stop asking and start acting. To pull this off, Arthur needs his brain firing at a level that would break most people. He activates King's Gambit, which turns his thoughts into a massive multi-dimensional web of strategies and calculations. We've seen him use it before, but this time it pushes it even harder than ever. His mind branches off like a galaxy of endless threads, all working at once. But even King's Gambit has limits, so Arthur does something insane. He links his ether core to his team using Lady Meyer's will. In one flash of amethyst light, he merges his mind with Sylvis, Regis, Tessia, and Gi. Suddenly, 5 people are sharing one brain. They're all synced up like a hive mind but less creepy. Tessia comments that it feels like being one person, while Regis grumbles about the mental crowding. Still, the connection works. They become a single unstoppable unit. Sylvie slows time, Regis keeps the destruction runes violet flame going, Gi calculates everything down to the last ether drop, and Tessia stabilizes the whole mental construct. Arthur coordinates all of it. Even under crushing pressure, there's still personality shining through. Regis throws in a dark joke about the downside of having awareness everywhere, saying, I just watched an old man take a dump in the woods besides his cratered house. But humor aside, this mental fusion gives Arthur the edge he needs to start reshaping reality itself. Arthur and the squad get to work up above. Iphiatus is coming through the rift, splitting into 3 massive floating rings that settle around the planet like something out of a sci-fi movie. These rings hover thanks to the condensed ether, forming a brand new skyline. Down below, the relic tombs are exploding zone by zone out of a giant portal, complete with random landscapes and monsters. Using powers like Spatium, Aroa's Requiem, and Godstep, Arthur's team stacks these zones into a colossal spire, essentially building a tower that stretches from the ground to the floating continents above. The work is chaos. The portal is spewing a 400-foot vortex of landscapes, monsters are running wild, Sylvie's time slowing gives them short bursts to maneuver pieces into place, but they have to restart time to let all of it fall correctly. It's like assembling a jigsaw puzzle where each piece wants to kill you. Wave after wave of ether pressure tries to rip everything apart. Arthur pushes back each one while managing the construction of the spire. It's exhausting, and Gi warns him his ether reserves are draining fast. They need a serious recharge. Enter the Everburn Fountain, a dragon village resource, basically a mini etheric rift that produces endless energy. Arthur's group teleports there, appearing as a glowing ether bubble in the middle of the wrecked village. The transition of Iphiatus into the sky has caused havoc, and the dragons are on edge. Pia Inthara, the clan leader, steps up and asks him if it's all over. Arthur's collective mind says it's almost over, but they need the fountain. Our fountain? Are you kidding? Arthur doesn't argue. He fixes their entire village in seconds with Aurora's Requiem, repairing homes, clearing the rubble, everything. Then, with a polite thank you, he takes the entire ground section holding the fountain and moves it. The fountain is relocated to a barren desert. Once isolated, Arthur cracks the fountain seal. Ether gushes out like a waterfall of raw energy, refilling the core instantly. He pushes even further, using God's step to rip the rift wide open. What was a fountain before became a mile-wide chasm of glowing violet energy. This rift now powers the spire and acts as a pressure release valve for the world. With this new energy source, Arthur and his team finish the construction. The floating rings lock into place, the spire pierces through, and the realm of Ephiatus is officially anchored to the world. But of course, Fate reappears. Fate manifests as a tangled mass of golden threads, each one representing a life or event. Arthur sees thousands of threads connecting him to Fate, like this showdown was destined to happen. Fate delivers a warning: you can't stop what's coming. Your efforts are just delaying the inevitable. Arthur, being Arthur, fires back. He argues that if everything were set in stone, Fate wouldn't even bother trying to talk to him, or trying to talk him out of it. He says that Fate has been wrong before, and that his interference is what put him in its path. Fate is inconvenienced. It claims that Arthur's presence itself is the catalyst for disaster. Arthur realizes that talking won't fix anything. What Fate needs isn't logic, it's empathy. And this is where the emotional hammer drops. Out of nowhere, the spirits of the fallen start showing up. First is Aldir, the Asuran general who sacrificed himself. He glows with violet energy and merges into Fate's threats, offering his life and purpose as a kind of emotional data download. Then comes Cynthia Goodsky, the headmaster who gave her life to protect Arthur's generation. She adds her compassion and strength to the mix. One by one they arrive: Angela Rose, Tessia's parents Alduin and Mariel, Adam, Blaine and Priscilla Glader, and so many more. Every person Arthur lost, every life sacrificed along the way, steps forward and merges with Fate. It's like watching a parade of grief and love. These spirits carry all of humanity's fate has been missing: love, pain, sacrifice, and they pour it into this cold mechanical force. Finally, Grand Marinia appears. She's as wise and gentle as ever, apologizing for not being able to guide Arthur better, and tells him, hold on to each other. Her words cut right into the core of what this moment means. Survival isn't just about power, but connection. The ripple effect immediate. A pulse of emotion runs through every golden thread, spreading across the entire world. People everywhere, from humans in Dicathan to dragons in Ephiatus, feel a sudden wave of grief, hope, and love, even if they don't know why. And then, the most gut-wrenching moment of the entire chapter. Reynolds Leywin, Arthur's father, he steps up, placing a comforting hand on Arthur's shoulder. He repeats the words he once told Arthur in his life about protecting family and creating a better future, even if it meant giving his own life. Some might say that this was an ass pull or that the power of friendship saved them, but it was actually something that made sense. Ether has been stated to be the energy that was left behind by living beings when they die, which means that ether carries some sort of intention since it was once alive. So it makes perfect sense for the emotions of those to have passed away that are close to Arthur to be able to come back and influence fate to make it more human, so to speak. Arthur is barely holding it together at this point. He remembers how Reynolds taught him that being strong doesn't necessarily mean carrying everything alone. Reynolds gives Arthur one last smile, pretends to spar with him, and then, with a salute, merges with Fate. Arthur whispers a quiet, "Thanks, Dad," and disappears. After this, Fate is different. The threads feel alive, softened by the humanity now woven into them. The floating rings lock into place, the spire completes, and the etheric flood finally stops. Fate, now changed, tells Arthur, "You have succeeded, but the etheric realm can't stay bottled up forever. Teach the world, prepare them for what comes next." Then Fate vanishes, leaving behind a faint lattice of golden threads at the spire's top. The sky clears. For the first time, it's quiet. Arthur closes the last Relic Tombs portal and lands with his team at the spire's base. The Basilisk Fan Mountains are gone, reshaped into the spire's foundation. People are spilling out, confused and terrified by the sight of floating continents overhead. All over the world, reactions ripple. Dwarves cheer, humans pray, and Asuras celebrate. everyone knows something monumental has just happened. Arthur and Tessia restart the relic tomb system by powering GI's crystal structure. GI wakes up, cheerful as ever, and immediately starts recalibrating the zones. Arthur finally lets his power wind down. Godstep, Realm Heart, the Destruction Rune, all of it fades. The mental link between the 5 of them dissolves, leaving Arthur alone in his own head again. And that loneliness hits him hard. As they step outside, Sylvie and Tessia notice that Arthur isn't really doing well. His mind is still tangled in King's Gambit, and he's not sure that he can actually turn it off. Sylvie reassures him, reminding him that he is more than this God rune. Tessia, on the other hand, grabs his hand, presses it to his chest, and tells him that she can't lose him again. She begs him to stop pushing himself. Arthur smiles, but inside he knows something is wrong. His ether core, the very heart of his power, is cracking. He's pushed it too far, and that's where the chapter ends. The world is saved, but Arthur might be breaking apart. Chapter 525 is the definition of high stakes. The mix of epic action and emotional weight here is insane. We get world-changing events like the creation of the Spire and floating rings, but also deeply personal moments with the spirits, especially Reynolds. The chapter leaves us hopeful but uneasy. Arthur's victory is massive, but it comes with a price. His ether core state sets up what could be one of the biggest challenges yet. Let me know in the comment sections, what do you guys think about this chapter and what might come next?